Well, hello, 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 everybody, or I should say hello there, in honor of Obi-Wan starting today. If you guys know Star Wars, you can see how much of a geek I am about it. And and also, let's see. I'm sorry I started a little bit late here, but had some issues with the webcam, but hopefully they are resolved. So let's see here. I don't think you need me to be that big. I'm gonna make myself a bit smaller. All right, here we go. Hey, Strawberry King, how's it going? Thomas Cuddy, hello. Hello, hello, hello. We got quite a few of you here. And we'll get started here in a minute. I'm just going to make my background a little bit lighter here. And yeah, so I think my document size is a little bit funky. Let's fix that too. All right. And let's just go to window size, new document. No, there it is, TF. And let's double that document size. And let's do the anti-aliasing. Here we go. All right, I think we're good now. Again, let me make that background a little bit lighter for you guys so you can see better. So let's quickly do a check on things here. Everybody can hear me and see my screen okay? Hola. All right, we got somebody from Lima, Peru. Man, I was in Lima a while back. Did the whole Peru thing, did the Machu Picchu trail, hiked it. It was one of the most amazing experiences in my life. Okay. So, if you guys can let me know if you can hear me okay, that would be great. It looks like my internet speed's good. Everything is kind of hopping. Webcam is working. So, I guess all I need from you all is just to give me a nod on all the different services on Twitch and Facebook and YouTube that you can hear me okay and you can see my ZBrush screen okay. And I'll just wait a few minutes until you guys respond, and then we'll go ahead and get continuing on this mech. All right, let's just see what's going on here with the subtools. I'm going to turn the music back on for a little bit while I'm waiting for you guys to respond that you can hear me okay. All right, here we go. All right, so Sneaker, you're saying that the Twitch FPS is low. That's, I think that'll get better. Let me just do another internet speed test here because I was showing pretty good speeds earlier. Let me see what's going on now. Right, whoa, it's getting there, yeah. Yep, it looks pretty good. And let's see. So the up is amazing. The ping is a little bit high, but I think that's because I'm connected here. And the upload is good. All right, so hopefully things will start getting a little bit better. So low FPS. So one of the things that some people have done in the past to overcome that is they just go back a little bit in time and then things get better. But again, this new service that I have is not as fast as what I had before, but it is definitely getting better. It is temperamental, like sometimes it works better than others. But let's see how things go as we progress in the evening. If it gets unbearable, if you guys can let me know, that's great. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of truck along. All right. So from last time, I think I had a different kind of cut line scenario here, and I changed that. Oh, one more thing I should do here is let me just look at my settings. Just give me a second here under stream and output. I think, yeah, no, I think I've got everything pretty much at what I had it at last time. So let me see here for video. Okay, yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, so I don't know. Well, let's see how things. Okay, so Sneaker's saying overall it's okay. All right, let's just go ahead and get going, and then you guys will let me know if things kind of deteriorate or are better. So anyway, I just did a little bit of a different scheme here on the cut lines, and I used panel loops to do it. And then here, you know, I kind of am not worrying about areas that are not showing, but some areas that are, I'm just going to go ahead and fix up a little bit. Let's see here. Just to get this to be a little bit kind of more streamlined. And here I'm just basically using the move tool just to help these things appear a little bit more streamlined. And the nice thing is that the polygrouping did a pretty okay job. I just don't want to press this in, so I'm just going to hold shift down with move and just place these kind of, just do a little bit of straightening up. It might help if I just soloed this out like so. There we go. And I don't know, I'm kind of maybe even thinking of redoing this again with a different pattern. Maybe I will. So let's say this is one pattern and I like it, and this kind of will be our fallback, but I'm going to try and do another one. So here is another one that I did earlier as well. I was trying different options. I don't know if I like this one. I'm going to get rid of it. It's too much, it's too busy. And then let's go ahead and do a new one. And for that, I'm actually going to use my technique of, you know, to figure out what a good routine is on it. I'm going to use my technique that I used earlier. So here, I just want to use H-polish, and here we go with this thing being huge again. Let's see. I wish there was a way it would kind of intelligently know to get smaller or bigger, but it's easy enough of a thing to fix. Here we go. Okay, that's good. That's good. All right, so with H-polish, I'm just going to straighten this thing out a bit, because it's, I don't need, and let's make sure there's no polygroups. Oh yeah, there are. All right, I'm just going to polygroup this as one thing. And for a good measure, I'm just going to go ahead and re-dynamesh it. I don't know why Dynamesh is respecting some of those old kind of, you can kind of see a little bit of the cut lines, but let me just go ahead and straighten this out as much as I can. Like so. And so right now it's just basically sculpting. Let me see if I've got a different version. Maybe, no, that one's good. Yeah, I might just duplicate this one. This is kind of an interesting thing for you guys to see, you know, a little bit of, you know, what happens if you want to backtrack. So here I'm just going to duplicate this whole thing as one. And this is what it looks like. So it's nicely polygrouped and everything, but I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to group it all as one. And then I'm just going to, let's see how well this works. I'm going to try and keep the same resolution. And let's see, let's just give this 1024. And let's just Dynamesh it. Okay, so now I think it kind of sealed up some of those areas. So I've got kind of the overall shape that I want, but I don't have those kind of separated out panel loops. So I can very easily kind of use smooth or H-polish to kind of get these back to the way they were. All right. By the way, if you guys have questions, I kind of didn't do my whole introduction, but about like and subscribe and all that, just because we started a little bit late, but that's okay. You guys know what to do. And if somebody is new to this, we are making an image that we got from an AI generation. So, and I'll just go ahead and load that in. I should mention that just at the beginning so people know, and let's load that into, so it's just basically AI. I just basically said, typed in a bunch of descriptors about what I have here, and just let it kind of generate an image, and it generated this image. And this is kind of looking at my initial mech that I'd made and reinterpreting it and putting in some new stuff. So I really kind of liked this one. We looked at quite a few images. If you go back to if you go back in time and look at the streams, I think this is the 5th one of this season. So if you look at previous streams, you kind of can get an idea of the different ones we considered, and then we just opted to go for this one. And so we're trying to recreate this in ZBrush, and the good news is we've got quite a bit of it done. The primary shapes are pretty much cooked up. Now all we got to worry about is just getting some of these secondary shapes. So I'm going to be doing some cut lines today and scribe lines, and then maybe using some alphas to get details, and then maybe adding some kit bash parts just to get it to the state that we want. So here all I'm doing is just kind of backtracking to get back to my original shape here, and sometimes to crispen things up I use clay polish. So let's see if that works. So at this point I kind of like this, and I don't want to mess with it. Let's see, did I close it all up? I did, right? So I'm just going to keep this and then duplicate it just for good measure, so I have a copy of it just in case we need to go back, and I don't need to see the other ones. I'm going to go off of solo. So this is basically the whole thing, like so, and I'm just going to be working on the hull a little bit today, getting it to work. So I basically did this little cut in here, which added some interesting things. I don't really have that in this version, but it's just a feature I thought would look cool, and it does. And let me just do some Damien Standard here and sharpen this edge up like so. So this feature here is kind of getting a little bit soft, so I just want to get some sharp edges on it. And let's see what clay polish will do to this. Maybe it will help. So let's give that a try. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but it's good to kind of bring out some kind of harsher edges. So let's see here under geometry and clay polish. And I'm just going to start with the default, see what I get. And you can kind of see it hardening some of these edges, which is what I want. And it's also adding a mask to it as well. So I think that's good. I'm going to clear the mask and just maybe help this along a bit with Damien Standard, just to kind of get a little bit more of the shapes that I want. Is this cutting in? Yeah, it is. Okay. So I'm just using Damien Standard to kind of sharpen up some of these edges so they look more hard surfacey. And here we go. Am I coloring as well to have RGB on? Nope. Okay, good. All right, let's see. Yeah, you're gonna wait to watch Obi-Wan. Yeah, you can. I think they put 2 episodes up already, and I watched them today. I actually took some time off away from things and spent the time. And I gotta say, it's fun to go back kind of into that universe, into that world, and revisit some of the things that are happening. You know what's really interesting, I should mention that there are some characters that have costumes, and I'm looking at the costumes, and I definitely recognize them being designed by ZBrush. So there's this one character that has a helmet, and I'm looking at it, and I'm seeing definitely that it was a I'm seeing how it was designed in ZBrush. I'm seeing all the ZBrush kind of brush strokes or whatever on it. Oh, I've got a visitor. I don't know if you guys can see it. Here's the tail. My cat decided to jump on my desk, so say hello to Ada, everybody. Let's see what she's going to do. If she gets too naughty, I'll have to kick her out, but she's behaving so far. There she is. Say hi to the crowd. Hello. Ooh, there she is. And I think she's wondering who I'm talking to. All right. So here it's just basic sculpting. Just trying to establish some of these planes. Again, just establishing the primary forms. They're pretty much done. I'm just popping out some of these angles. All right. What are you doing now? All right. All right, I think this is kind of good enough for now. Ooh, this interesting little feature kind of popped up, so I'm actually going to, as a happy accident, I'm just going to embellish it a little bit. Like so. Maybe add this, add a groove in here. Enhance this. So again, a lot of this might not be seen, but it's fine. And then let me just make sure the A-line, the profile is good. It is. I might need to just give it a little bit more of a chop this way. So I'm using the clip brush. No, actually she's named after Ada Lovelace, which is one of the first women coders. So you know, I'm a computer science person, so that's where the name came from. And I like to name my pets kind of like my name, where you can go forwards or backwards on it. So my first cat was Odo, and also was from Star Trek. Yeah, I'm not a nerd at all. And then the second one, so when my kids gave me this cat for my birthday, it was my first female cat. So I thought, what could I name her? And I started thinking about names that would be the same backwards and forwards, and came up with Ada, after Ada Lovelace, who is, again, the, I don't know if there's a term for it, but the grandmother of coding, I guess, or she was a very key figure in computer science. If you guys don't know about her, look her up. And yeah. All right, that looks good. Let's redynamesh it and see what kind of geometry we get. That's kind of decent so far. All right, so now I'm going to use that technique that I had earlier of loading in an image and then trying to find some sort of an interesting pattern on top. Because here it looks like it's just kind of, you know, shiny. There's no pattern on it, but I want to have some kind of design elements to it where it has some cut lines and whatnot. So to do that, I did it with a character, but I think also it does work really well with hard surface objects as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in just a minute. Here I'm just tightening up some of these edges here. And let's see this from the side. It looks good. Let's see. I don't even know who Ada Wong is. I should look that up. Or I think Wang is pronounced Wang. I don't know. I'm just horrible with names. I've got a couple of students at Nomen, and I mess up their names all the time. It's really embarrassing. This term that I'm teaching is, we're in week 7 now, and it is coming, so, you know, the students are doing their designs of a mech, and they're doing some interesting work. I can't wait till they're done so I can see their results. And we got a few weeks left. And these are all graduating students, so they're really probably burning the candle at both ends. So I just kind of came up with a little design element here that I kind of like. So I'm going to keep it. All right. Okay, so now I think I've got a good enough surface. Let me straighten this out. This is looking very Lamborghini-like. The design elements are very kind of chiseled. And scoop is good. Yeah, I think this will do. Let's see if I can add a little bit more of an angle this way, if that helps. Maybe just a bit more. Let's get this kind of to be more angular. Oh, Resident Evil franchise. Great. Yeah, no. I mean, I've seen the movies. I don't think I've played the game, though. Was she in the game, or is she a movie character, is she video game or movie or both? They're redoing it, too. There's a new Resident Evil coming out. I think kind of an episodic thing. I think also on Netflix. I'm not sure. There's so many things to watch. It's really frustrating to kind of have to. It's kind of an embarrassment to britches, I guess. There's so many amazing things coming out that the challenge is going to be finding the time to watch it all. There's a lot of really good visual vocabulary elements in Obi-Wan. I should also mention that. I'm not spoiling anything, but it's there's some really good designs. Like there was this one spaceship that they had. I was like, damn, that's really nice. It's a tough thing to do because this one's kind of bridging the episodes, the prequels, and you know, A New Hope. So. You know, it's kind of interesting to see what's already changed and what's kind of still the same. So this is kind of 10 years after the Revenge of the Sith, I guess. Was that the one? I don't know. The last one, I forget the names. But yeah, all right, this looks good. Enough futzing around. All right, let's get to the other part. Okay, so now I'm just going to go in and import some textures from, where are you? Textures. Right, and photo bash elements. And I'm just, here I'm just choosing some images that I think would work with this design. Bear with me for a few minutes. And that one looks good. It's so funny. There's a few that I always fall back on, and they always don't disappoint. But this will do, this will do. It's kind of like a weird version of artificial intelligence where you're using other images to generate something, but you're not, you know, a machine isn't doing it. I'm actually doing it as a person. Anyway, I just want to put this out there too. If anybody's watching and you have a Midjourney login or you have a Midjourney password, I guess, or account, they're in beta, and I'm trying to get on their beta, and for some reason, I'm not getting a response. So I asked them like 3 times, and I didn't hear back. I guess they're getting a lot of people wanting to do their thing. But yeah, I mean, I've done Disco Diffusion and a couple of others, but definitely want to see what this has to offer, you know. And I'm also starting to see a lot of the AI, even though it's from different artists, a lot of the AIs are starting to kind of, I mean, I can tell what program is generating them. So there's definitely a signature look to the AIs. And all right, I should be, let's open these ones for now. Let's try and see what we can do with this image. So I'm just basically choosing this image. I've got symmetry on. I'm going to go to, actually, before I do that, let me go to the paintbrush here. And go to drag rectangle, and let's load one of these images in. Let's start with the one I had. But yeah, a lot of the AIs are starting to look alike. Like I can tell what's generated with what. And what I'm really noticing and liking a lot is, maybe this one's not going to work well. Let's go for, how about this one has some interesting designs. Let's see what this produces. But there are some artists that are actually using the AI as kind of a starting point, and then doing some paint overs, like Broya Necro. I don't know if you guys know who he is. Amazing artist, does kind of dark characters and whatnot. Here, I'll show you who they are. This is on Instagram. Yeah, but my Instagram is just kind of full of AI stuff nowadays. But here we go. This guy's stuff right here. So you can see, I mean, you can definitely tell he's using Midjourney, but you can also tell that what he's doing also is doing overpaints, or he's using the elements from Midjourney and incorporating it into his AI, and it's working out really well. And I think that's kind of the way to go. I mean, initially, like, you know, pre-AI, his stuff kind of looked like that too. So he has some amazing stuff, and then he basically throws AI at it and gets some interesting results. Like you can see this one here. All of this stuff over here is generated with AI. And he's just basically using this as an overpaint. Like maybe this part of the face is generated by AI. And I don't know how much of this he's doing himself and how much of it is the AI. And I think therein lies the success of what he's doing. Here you go again, because that's the point. The point is that AI should just be integral to what he's doing. I mean, this is just beautiful what he's got over here. And all this has been generated with Midjourney. And, you know, so this is kind of the way it should work. The way it should work is that AI should be helping along, instead of people just posting, and, you know, myself included, just what the AI generates. So in my case, what I'm doing is oh, here we go. This is some interesting patterns right here. What I'm doing is I'm using AI to generate kind of images, and then I'm actually, again, incorporating it into my artwork in the way where it is, you know, it is basically helping me with what I'm doing. All right, so I like this a lot. I like kind of what this is producing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and add a layer. And on this layer, I'm going to actually add one more. Okay, and this one's what's recording. And on this layer, I'm just going to go ahead and start drawing out and helping this along. And for that, I'm actually going to use a this brush that I really like. So it's just basically a paintbrush that I have. Let's see, poly paint brushes, and it's this one right here, Draw ZBP, and this one kind of works really well. Let me just go ahead and let's see if this will work. All right, and then switch color. Yeah, and I'm just going to basically grab these design patterns that I like on here. And I might use these, or I might not use the underlying stuff, but I'm definitely going to use what's here. think that's kind of neat. Cut lines. I'm using too thick of a brush. I think I need to make it a little bit thinner. Like so. And I really like what this produced right here. She's in the games. Yeah. Awesome. I think the one Resident Evil game that I was going to play was Resident Evil 5, and I bought it, but I never really got to get into it as much because work was kind of hectic at the time. But yeah. All right, so that kind of is an interesting feature right there, and then this kind of is interesting here too. So here I'm just basically deciding the kind of ones that I want to keep, and let's see, does this, if I hide this layer, okay, good. So this layer is just the drawing layer, and all right, so that's good, and I'm just going to go ahead and hide both of these, and then just continue, add another layer, and let's continue our adventure with, let me go back to my paintbrush here, and let's choose another image, maybe this kind of helmet. Let's see what kind of patterns we'll get out of this. So you can see, I mean, I can always kind of be drawing the things, but just using this method, you get so many, like, hundreds of variations very quickly, and you can kind of get a good idea of something that works well. Oh my God, we got somebody from Jamaica. Hello, hello, hello. I'm not even going to try and do a Jamaican accent. This one always produces interesting results, just a picture of a mouse. Maybe not in this case. Here we go. That kind of looks interesting. And again, the top is really the part that matters, so I'm just basically focusing on the part, but I can also do the sides here. Let's just see here. I just loaded a few images. I didn't load a lot. There's a Ducati. How about, let's see if this one gives us anything. Turn this back on. All right, I'm getting some interesting things over here. I think I have enough. I think I have enough to go on. So now I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this. And on my new duplicate, I don't know if does it duplicate the layers. It sure does. I'm just going to bake all the layers. And then just fill this thing with white. And I am going to go off of solo and just show these two here. So let's hide all these other pieces. Actually, it doesn't hurt if I have these on, but I don't need the arms, they'll get in the way. And I can leave the legs too. No, let's hide the legs. All right, so now I've got these two, and what I can do here, so this one's underneath, just turn on transparency, and select this one. Trying to see what's underneath, but it doesn't show me. What if I have ghost off? Yeah, here we go. All right, and I'm going to be on this one right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick that brush again. And just from what I had, just get some of the outlines of what I want to keep. So this line here, definitely. Let me switch colors here. I think this top one can go. I don't need to see that one. Okay. There we go. And the reason why I'm doing this, by the way, is because I'm going to use Polygroup it to polygroup these in a different manner, and then just Polygroup it will give me the polygroups, and then panel loops will give me the panels. The reason why I like this brush is it kind of gives me a really nice harsh, line. I'm just going to do this one more time and do it very clean. Here we go. Like that, and then have this one. All right, so how are things in Jamaica? Jace cover. I've never been to Jamaica. I want to go. Now that COVID is easing up, I think I can start traveling again. All right, that's looking okay. So, you guys are really quiet today. Again, if you guys have any questions on ZBrush, please ask away. I'll be more than happy to answer them. If you're watching me live, that's one of the benefits. And if you're watching this after the fact, you can either tune in to my next stream, or you can leave your question in the comments, and hopefully somebody from Pixelogic will get back to you. All right, this V thing here is kind of interesting, but I think maybe that would be a texture. All right, and then let's bring this one in. See, these are patterns that I would never have thought of, but using that technique gives me those patterns very nicely. So let's just kind of add this in, like so. That looks good. Go back to this one. All right, so I'm doing a lot of these things that are on here. What am I kind of like what's going on with this too. Let's see if I can add that. Now this sharp edge here, I don't like it, so I have to somehow get rid of it. All right. Somebody is saying, what about Egypt? Have I been to Egypt? Is that what you're asking? Looks good. I'm still getting this sharp edge here that I don't want. So I have to figure out a way to get rid of it. Maybe just add a little bit of a cut in over here. Nope. A lot of design is just iteration of things. So here I'm liking this. You just like watching. Okay, yeah. And are you in Egypt? You're watching from Egypt? I've never been to Egypt. I would like to go there too. That's another one of the destinations. I would definitely like to see the pyramids. All right, I kind of really like what's happening over here, but I hate this, what's happening over here. So I have to figure out a way to make this work. Actually, before I do that, let me see if that's even going to show. Sometimes you do a lot of work on an area and it's not even going to show, so it's not worth it. Let's see here. Yeah, see, there you go. It's a lot of this is obstructed. Let me turn transparency off. Yeah, let's see, a lot of that is obstructed, so I don't even need to care about that. I don't even need to care about it. How about that? Because there's this piece that's going to be covering this whole area. I'm going to leave that on just so I can see it, but then I have to go to ghost if I need to get underneath it, right? That's fine. All right. Will I be doing retopology on this one? I don't know. I don't know yet. Still to be determined. I mean, if I'm going to, the only reason why I would need to do retopology on it is if I was going to animate it or add some, if I was going to add some, you know, like go into Substance Painter or something like that and add some textures. Okay, wrong brush. Go back to this. Yeah, if I was going to, you know, if I was going to go into Substance Painter and I needed a good topology, I would retopologize it, but I might just, for this one, I might just stick to leaving it this way. I don't know. We'll know soon enough. Once I get these panels going, we'll see. All right. Whoa, why did this get so thick? There, and then let's see what would be interesting from the side. Let's just kind of see. Now I'm just being so I like what's going on with this, but I'm not very happy about what's going on here. So let's see if I can fix that. All right. Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say that. I appreciate it. I'm trying to figure out how to kind of mitigate this. I really like what's going on here, but I need to figure out what I can do to make this part work. Okay, that. So even though I started with that pattern and was giving me some good ideas, turn transparency, let me turn ghost back off. And is that one underneath it showing? It is. That's what's missing, this right here. All right, well, that's looking good. Again, I don't want this to be too busy, but speaking of Egypt, you know, I just got caught up with Moon Knight. I don't know if you guys have seen that on Disney Plus, and there was some really interesting kind of Egyptian gods kind of story to it, and just such a rich culture in the past, in the days of the pharaohs, and there's just so much history and so many interesting design elements that come from that time, and I think they did a pretty decent job in Moon Knight. That, and also in what was the movie with the time gate? That there was a movie and then there was a TV series. I forget the name of it. They had some really cool designs there too. My arm is cramping up a little bit, so I'll just give it a little bit of a break. All right. You guys are really quiet today. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if you hear me too late, or I'm just going to let this do its thing. There we go. Always a good idea to do an autosave. I think this is good enough for now. Okay, I just want to make sure that whatever I have is somehow being closed up. So I can continue this maybe like up. So people always ask me like, hey, do I need to know how to draw if I want to be in 3D? And my answer is yes, because right now I am drawing, but I am drawing in 3D. And one of the nice things is the new version of Procreate allows you to draw on 3D objects as well. I do have an iPad and I like using it for drawing, especially like if I'm somewhere where I'm not on a computer. It's kind of a neat thing to be able to draw on the iPad. I like it a lot. I think the only thing that's kind of still a bit cryptic and kind of a pain in the butt is getting stuff in and out of the iPad. So, I mean, I use Dropbox as an option of doing it. But the iPad is still kind of, the file management aspect of it is still not as good as it is on a computer. I think it's getting there, but it's not as instant. Like, it would be really nice for me to have a button that I could just press to send this into Procreate, paint on it, and then, you know, offline or whatever, when I'm waiting somewhere, and then shoot it back into here. So I was talking to some of my students about, a lot of the jobs are figuring out how to get things from one program to another nowadays. Like, there should be a time where it's going to be so seamless to just get things from one program to the next. When I worked at Microsoft, that was kind of one of our goals, is to enable that. There were technologies we worked on, like dynamic data exchange, I remember. But none of that stuff. I mean, GoZ is kind of nice. It does a little bit of that, but it's still not there. I'm kind of really excited about to see what happens with Maxon tools. Like, it would be nice to be able to shoot things in and out of Maxon tools. And Maxon also owns Forger, which is on the iPad. So it'll be interesting to see if, like, what happens with this kind of merger. If some of these things are going to have some sort of an integration. Because right now, like, moving things back and forth is, you know, manual, and you're really restricted by the kind of in-between file formats like OBJ and FBX. And FBX is a lot better than OBJ is, because you can transfer more information. But again, still, there's really a lot of proprietary stuff that doesn't go back and forth. I think this is good. Let's see what this gives us. All right, so I'm just going to solo this out and go to Polygroup it over here. And let's say group from Polypaint. And let's see. All right, so see, that really gives us a very nice kind of distinction between the polygroups. And it's kind of fun because it used this as, and that kind of works actually. And that's good over here. It kind of figured this out. It's not perfect, but it'll do. And now what I want to do is I want to get rid of these jagged edges. So different ways of doing that. Let's see what polish by groups will do. That's okay, but it's still kind of wobbly. Let's try doing this. So I'm trying to do it with group loops here, with very little G-polish. Yeah, no, it's not doing it. I think the problem is the resolution. So let's try doing something else here. Let's try adding some loops. I'm gonna add 4 loops. Let's try doing it this way. No, it's still kind of jagged. Let's try G-polish at 50. It's a little bit better, but it's still kind of wonky. Let's see. All right, so another thing I can do here is I'm going to try and reduce the polygon count by using ZBrush. Let's see if that works. ZBrush, keep groups, detect edges. Let's see what that does. Time to grab a cup of tea. Wow, Z, you haven't been on the streams before. Oh, wow. Okay, well, welcome back. As you can see, the world didn't end. Man, when that sale was happening, everybody was just freaking out. But things are moving along. I mean, I can see some changes happening already, which are actually pretty good. All right, so I'm just going to turn off adaptive here, and I'm just going to go to half. Reducing polygons usually reduces some of this kind of chatter. Let's see, I'm just going to try and get as good lines as I can. Let's see what this gives us. There we go, that's not bad. It's kind of not good either. All right, oh yeah, there's smoothing going on, that's why. All right, so half, detect edges, keep groups, zero mesh, no adaptive size. Let's see what this gives us. Yeah, thanks Z, I appreciate that. All right, well, that's kind of a little bit better. Let's see if I can do polish by groups here. Yep, getting closer to what I want. And then I'm going to hit it with zero mesher again. And then I'll kind of do some manual tweaking. I'm trying to get less polygons still. And I've got the general shape. I can always kind of project this onto it. Okay, that's not much less polygons. I'm going to zero mesh it one more time. See, I'm getting less polygons, which is good. And I'm going to continue to do that until I get something. I think this is a good number of polygons to be able to manipulate. So now I'm going to do a quick save here real quick before I do my next step. And then I'm going to project this shape onto what was there before. All right, chugging away. All right, so I've got this shape and I've got this one. I just want to make sure those are the only two things showing. They're not, so let's hide the rest of the stuff. I don't need to see them. And let's make sure there's nothing else showing. Yeah, they're just these two. And what I want to do is I want to take the one I just zero meshed and projected onto what was there before, just so I get better, more of that shape. I don't want to project the poly paint, okay? So what I am going to do though is I am going to give it one subdivision level and project again. No. And let me just go to solo here. So yeah, and one more maybe subdivision level and project one more time. Saying no. All right, so I'm getting kind of the shape that I want. And now what I can do here is to get this to conform to what I want. I'm going to go all the way down, back in subdivision levels to 1, and then start straightening these out, which is pretty easy to do. And I can do this with ZModeler and Slide. That's one way of doing it. And just want to see what's underneath. So let's just unsolo this. And start moving these points to where I want them to be. See, now I've got a lot less polygons, so it's easy enough for me to manipulate these to get kind of more of a straight line. The thing I also want to do is I don't want to accidentally Q-mesh something, so I'm going to do nothing for that. And for edges, I want to do nothing here as well. As it stands now, you don't need ZBrush for modeling? I don't know. I mean, I would be pretty miserable without ZBrush personally. It's like my #1 tool that I use for modeling for everything. I mean, if you're a Blender user or Maya user or Cinema 4D user or whatever, you might not really think ZBrush is that critical. But for what I do, I don't think there's any other tool that could do what I need to do. ZBrush is kind of my go-to application. It's the #1 application that I use all the time. I don't know if I understood what you were trying to say, though. Maybe you were trying to say something else. So now you guys can see that I've got a really nice clean, nice clean edges here. Like, look at how, and just straighten out these lines. Another way to do this is to use the clip curve, but I think this is working just fine. All right, so let's work on this over here. And again, like what I'm doing right now, I don't know any other program that I can do this with. I mean, I could probably slide edges in Maya, but getting to this point would have been very difficult. All right, so this kind of area here needs to be addressed as well. So let's go back to unsolo and see how we can get this to be what it was. Hopefully you guys get what I'm doing here. All right, let's see. ZBrush is losing free upgrades after full purchase is a huge thing because 3 is getting easier and easier to get into, but Blender. Okay, I see what you're saying. I didn't read your previous message. Well, I mean, it was really great that ZBrush upgrades were free. And they were free for like a very long time. And I definitely, I'm with you there as to that was a big advantage. But and I've talked about that many times. It was one of the key capabilities, or one of the key reasons why ZBrush was so cool when it had that ability. But on the other hand, I don't think we should take things like that for granted. And we don't know what's going to happen next. Like, I don't know what the goal is for them. I think, if you do purchase it, and if they do come up with an upgrade, they probably will have an upgrade price. But I don't know, the thing that remains to be seen is what that price is going to be. I mean, if it's going to be, if it's going to be something that's not as, it's not going to be prohibitive, then that's great. But if it is going to be prohibitive, then that could be an issue. But I don't think we should, be grabbing our pitchforks or anything just yet before we know what that is going to be like. But it's definitely, the good days of it being a free upgrade are definitely behind us, I think. I don't know any other program that has free upgrades. I think every program you have to pay for upgrades. I mean, yeah, Blender is good, but Blender is not ZBrush. It's got some great capabilities, but even with Blender, you have to buy plugins, and it's not 100% free. Like, I mean, I like Blender, don't get me wrong, but I also like Box Cutter, and Box Cutter isn't free. And I like a lot of other amazing tools that come with, or you can get for Blender, but they're not free. They're just not. Okay, so this is good, and then let's see if I can get this one to work. I think one of the things also is you got to kind of consider, you know, what you do. If you're a artist that uses ZBrush all the time, it's a tool that you use all the time. And if the new feature is going to give you more capabilities, or the new version is going to give you new capabilities, or if it's going to save you time in your work, then, you know, it doesn't hurt to pay the people that are spending all this time making it and developing it, and you know, you kind of get what you pay for, you know, a little bit. All right, so here I kind of want to get this to be the same polygroup as that, so I'm going to go in here, polygroup, single poly, grab this color, and just do a little bit of, what about this one? Yep. I'm trying to get this to kind of be more of a straight line. I'm getting there. It helps when these polygroups have a border. Let's see. Hey, Poan, how's it going, man? Good to see you on here. Oh, what's the difference between slide and move? Good question. See, finally I got a good question. Slide is actually really powerful. What slide does is it restricts the motion. So here, let me turn transparency off and solo this out. So what slide allows you to do is when you click on a point and you're moving it, right, it's only going to move along the edges that are connected to it, right? So then you can maintain kind of the shape of the object, whereas with move you can do that, and if you hold shift down you can still move it on the surface. However, it also moves up and down, right? So so slide just basically slides the vertex or the edge along the surface of what's there. So I mean, if I do a slide for edge, notice here if I'm sliding this edge, notice that it's sliding and the two vertices are going to be moving in accordance to whatever is there. So yeah, slide is pretty powerful. Maya has that too, and sliding vertices is a good way to kind of maintain the overall shape that you've got. However, change the topology. So it's kind of a, you know, it's also a retopology type of a tool. So hopefully that answers that question. I'm going to turn polygroup off for this for now, right? Just keep. So now I'm just basically kind of creating a scenario for me where these edges are more straight. And then once I'm done with that, I'll just panel loop this thing. All right, so this looks good. I'm kind of a little bit unhappy about what's going on here. I like this kind of shape that this is creating, but inside here it's kind of, I'm not happy with this kind of part going from thick to thin here. So I might do some playing around with polygrouping, see if I can fix this. So what if this wasn't closed off like that? So, you know, what if this had this type of a feature? Instead, that's looking a little bit better, and let's continue this on. So I still have this kind of fork over here, but yeah, that's looking a little bit better. And let's slide this up. Yeah, that's much, much better. All right, let's see what we can do with this over here. So I'm going to grab this polygroup and see if I can do something interesting here. So as you can see, I'm doing, you know, I'm using a lot of capabilities of ZBrush together. I did the pattern to kind of get started, and then I'm using polygroups to get this shape to be a little bit more of what I want. And that's kind of one of the things that I talk to my students about, is that it's good to know the features, but it's also good to know how to use the features together. So if you know if you know some of the features, that's great, but it's not like, you know, the features are in a world of their own. they have to be used in conjunction with the other features. So as you kind of learn more and more about ZBrush and all the different features, it's kind of like martial arts, you know, it's kind of like knowing how to group and use capabilities or movements or things together to get the result you want. Okay, I'm just kind of getting this to be, yep, and let's see if I can grab all these over here and just slide these points up. All right, turn polygroup off. I wish there was a fast way to go to do nothing on everything that except what you're on. So right now I'm moving points. Like it would be cool that if there was like a hotkey or something that would set edges and faces to do nothing. And see, that's kind of one of the things. Like if they add that in ZBrush, like, you know, would that be worth paying a little bit of money for? Absolutely. And honestly, here's another really kind of very honest take on things, is that every single feature that they've, you know, every single time they've upgraded ZBrush, they've added amazing stuff to it. So that's why I think people are going to be are mostly upset, because they know that they're going to come up with really cool features and they're not going to be free where they were free before. But I don't know. I'm kind of beating this horse to death, so I'm going to get off of it. But yeah, I mean, they always, whatever they add, whenever a new version of ZBrush comes out, there's always really amazing and cool new features that get added. All right, so now I've got this, and if I go up in subdivision levels, I still kind of get what I had. And actually, I don't really need to have those additional subdivision levels. I'm going to delete them. Where are you? Geometry, delete higher. And what I'm going to do now is remap this to what's underneath. So I'm going to do that projection thing again. But before I do that, I'm just going to do a quick save and see what the questions are. Okay. Maxon's asked the trainer series spotlight ZBrush. Okay. Yeah. And well, that happened yesterday. So yeah, there's this new thing on ZBrush Live, and also Ask the Trainer, where there's a bunch of experts of ZBrush coming in and just answering questions. I might be on one of those at some point. So that's that. And then Din, I'm doing blend shapes right now in ZBrush. Okay, I just want Maxon make ZBrush make sense. Wider audience for me. The tool for something. Yep, Din, I agree with you 100%. Nothing comes close. They definitely are very Control D. Let's just divide this once and project. No. Divide it again and project as well. Okay, so as you see, when I'm dividing now, these lines are getting a little bit softer. And I don't want that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to zero mesh this one more time. But this time, let's see if I get the result I want. I'm going to zero mesh this one more time, keep the same polygroup count here. Keep edges and all that stuff is the same. And I want smooth groups to be 0. And let's see what that gives us. All right, that gave me exactly what I wanted. Okay, and now what I'm going to do also is create some geometry here that will make these kind of stand out a bit. I don't really need to do this, I guess, so I'm not going to. But I was going to just do a thing where I maybe I will. Let's do it for some of them. So I'm going to go ahead and do a inset, and let's see what that gives us. Inset, and Polygroup Island. Here we go. And I don't want a new polygroup. I think, is there a way to keep the polygroups that I have? Border only, standard, nope. Okay, that's fine. And so, and I'm going to also use legacy here because I don't really care about I don't want to add that topology in here. Okay, so that's good. And then I'm going to use the fill function. So Polygroup Fill. So I'm going to grab this and just fill that in there. Okay, so now I've got an inset and I've got what I want. So here I'm going to go ahead and do inset on this guy like that. That's good. Well, that's good. And then I'm going to go to actually let's just inset all these things and then I'll do the grouping after. Inset that guy, inset this, inset that as well. And what inset is giving me, by the way, is it's just giving me this border edge loop that's going around. Right, I think that's good enough. I think that got everything right. Yep. Oh, there's some interesting stuff going back here. Let's see if I can fix it. Yep, there it is. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, now that I did that, I'm just going to go into Polygroup and Fill. And let's grab this one, fill here, fill here. Thing about fill is it's not symmetrical, by the way. Something really weird happened over here, but that's fine. Okay, let me try this again. I think this is, okay, yeah, that worked. All right, and then let's grab this color. Oops. This one. All right, do these guys. It's a brown color there. And then I've got the one in the middle. This one, just going for a different color here. And doing the same over here. All right, so now I've got this pretty much done. I've got different polygroups and whatnot. So now if I subdivide it, I think it will keep more of that initial shape that I wanted, which is great. And this even here is working well. Okay, and one more time. And now I'm going to project it. So again, I'm just going to do a quick save before I do that, just to make sure that I don't crash. And yeah. Blend shapes are fun. Are you doing blend shapes on characters like faces and whatnot? Din? You know, I kind of want to ask you guys a question since I have you here, and that is that I see some streamers have the chat appear in here in the ZBrush window. Should I do that? I mean, everybody can see the chats if you go to, watch this afterwards. But would it help if the chat was kind of on screen? I'm actually going to hide the reference for now. I'm just curious. Okay, so now I've got kind of enough geometry here. I'm going to go ahead and do the projection. So up here under Subtool and Project All, no. Okay, so now I've kind of got more of the detailed. I can probably go one more subdivision level here. And project all, no. So now I've got this looking pretty good. And now I can sculpt on this just to, let me switch colors here. Black is too dark. All right, so now I've got a good topology, and I can just go to Damien Standard here and just, you know, a little bit augment the details just to get some finer edges. I think I might even have too much detail. So here, I'm just going to go down in one subdivision level and delete the higher one. How many subdivision levels do I have? I've got 4. I think 3 is, no, I do need 4. Okay, so that's fine. All right, so nobody's answering my question. My question again is, do you folks feel that it would be better for me to have the chat showing here somewhere on the screen in addition to my webcam, like have the chat actually be in the stream itself, on the screen? Or does that make a difference for anybody who's watching this? I could have done group loops instead of inset. That's correct. That's right. Mix and Matt, you are absolutely correct. I could have done that as well. I think inset gives me a little bit more control, but yeah, you're right. All right. So now I'm just basically doing a little bit of sculpting just to get that shape. And then in a little bit, I will just go ahead and do the panel loops on here. It would be nice to see people's questions, yeah. All right, yeah. I think you do see them if you have the chat going somewhere, but I agree with you. All right, so I'll see if I can figure out a way to do that. It should be pretty straightforward. I'll ask some of my fellow streamers on how it's done. By the way, I'm also kind of getting things together to do my own streams, not under ZBrush Live, but just kind of my own ones. So, you know, I'll have a week on and week off with ZBrush Live, and I'll also have a week on and week off with mine. So once a week I will be streaming, and it will either be on ZBrush Live or it'll be on my own Twitch channel. And I'm getting everything set up for that too. There's a lot of things to do with that. Looking into getting some sort of a stream deck, some sort of a tip jar, you know, just a whole bunch of different things. Okay, so now I'm just basically refining it. And once I'm happy with what I have, which is pretty close here, I'll go ahead and generate those panel loops. So the thing with panel loops is they're not going to work with higher subdivision levels. So I'm going to bring this back down to maybe about there. Let me duplicate this again. Duplicate. And let's just see, what detail level am I at? Geometry. And I'm at level 3. I think level 3 is good. So I'm going to delete lower and higher and just stick to this. And then I'm going to use panel loop it, or the panel loop presets, I guess, the plugin. This doesn't, by the way, this doesn't come in ZBrush. You've downloaded separately from the resource page, and it's pretty neat. And it was done by Joseph Drust and Chi Vang. So here I'm going to choose maybe, let's try this one. Okay, and of course this is too thick, so I'm just going to say cancel, and the settings are going to be saved. All right, let's see. Could you have, okay. Sean Davis says, not me. Sean, what do you mean about like having the chat be on here? Is that what you're saying not me for? Right, so I've got that, and now I'm just going to go into panel loops. And let's bring that thickness down and see what that gives us. Here we go. Yeah, look at that. That looks pretty good. So now we got yet another one, another pattern to go with. One thing I don't like is this is way too soft. I want to harden these edges a bit. So I'm going to go back to when I had lower subdivision levels and go all the way down to 1. And let's see if this works, or if it's going to complain. Yeah, it's going to complain. Oh, it's not. Let's see, do nothing for polygroup. And let's see, can I slide edges? I can. And this is kind of nice. I mean, I do have subdivision levels, but I can still slide edges. So I want these. I want a harsher kind of angle on this one over here. So it doesn't look so kind of soft. I can do that after the fact with AccuCurve as well, but I'm just going to try and do it before. Just have a harsher edge over here, both on this one and this one. Like so. So Sean Davis, what did you mean about not me? Can you elaborate, por favor? All right, so let's see what that gives us. Actually, what if I panel loop it at this low subdivision level? Let's see what that gives us. I might be able to make some more modifications that way. So I'm going to delete higher here, and I'm going to try panel loops at this subdivision. Oh, that's the other problem here, is that I have polish on for panel loops. I don't want polish. There we go. That's better, but this is giving me harsher. So okay, then I will keep my subdivision levels, go up to maybe about 3, and this is going to complain. Delete lower, delete higher, and now let's do panel loops. Here we go, and let's see what that looks like. Perfect. I don't think I could ask for anything better. This is looking much better here too. And I think that's a go. Look at how cool that looks from the side. That's beautiful. All right, so with panel loops, I've got double on here. And I think we are good. So that's done. We'll call this done. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And now I can just subdivide it one more time to get a little bit more detail, and that kind of crispens things up a bit as well. And I think this is what we're going to go with. All right, so now I just will get rid of some of those initial hulls that I had. So we don't need all of these. And I can delete them, but I can also just add them to my builders folder. And then usually what I do is I move that entire folder out when I'm kind of streamlining. So I'm just going to move all these into builders so I don't have them crowding me up. Right, just move all this to builders. And see here, I don't really need to retopologize this because I kind of have a good topology on it already. And I do have lower subdivision levels, so I'm kind of golden on the hull part at least. I don't know about all the arms and everything. But yeah, probably I'm not going to retopologize much of this. I'm probably just going to use what's there. And just because I've got lower subdivision levels that I can UV, and I don't really need a retopology on it. Okay, so here we go, and let's bring everybody else out, like so. And all right, and let's bring up the arms and legs. Oh yeah, look at how cool that looks. That is perfect, right? All right, so we got one guy sitting in here, and that worked out really well. I'm glad I took the time, and I've got some really interesting looking panels there. And yeah, so we'll just kind of stick to that. How are we doing on time? We're doing good. I might go a little bit over today just because I started a little bit later. Okay, so now I'll move on to another part here. What should I work on next? How about this part right here? Let's kind of get that to be something a little bit more final. So right now this is really low res, as you can see. So I want to subdivide it, but I want to kind of keep this shape. So let's just go to Dynamic Subdiv. yeah, so good question. That is a great question, Mix and Matt. So what you asked was, when I have this polygroup, when I did this panel looping, right? Now, the reason why I do it this way, and there are the holes, is because I want to be able to open these up, you know, like maybe have a situation where these open up, maybe there are lights or something inside here, right? But you don't have to have it be this way. So if you want it to be airtight, so if you want to 3D print it, what you would do is under panel loops here, right? Just don't have double on. If you don't have double on, then there will be no holes. Okay, and here I'll show you how that works real quick. I'm just going to duplicate this thing so I have a clean copy of it, just in case. Where is it? Okay, I'm just going to duplicate it so I have the clean copy of it. Okay, and then on this old one, I'm going to go before I did the polygroup. Right here, I think, is right before I did the panel loops, right? And so here, when I do panel loops, right here, I have double on right here, okay? If I turn this to off, okay, I don't have double on now, and I click on it, it will create the panel loops, and notice, solo it out here and turn polyframe off. Notice here that this is all one piece, right? There are no holes. I'm just smoothing it, right? You can see that there are no holes anywhere. So if you're going to 3D print it, then what I recommend you do is when you are going to panel loop it, don't have double on over here, right? If you have double on, that will create this as a separate panel that can be kind of peeled off and so you can kind of separate the pieces out. So right now, you know, I just did it again with the double option on, so it does have holes. Okay, so that's how you could do it. Mix and Matt, hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, Sean, you know, I'll look into it. If it is a big deal, then I won't do it. But we'll see. And the thing is, you know, the thing I'm worried about is, like, you know, it'll be one of those things where, you know, you'll see less of the ZBrush UI. I don't know. I'll look into it. All right, so back to everything else, and let me delete that duplicate that I made. I don't need it anymore. So this guy, delete. Okay, and then I have the one with all the undo levels, and just for kicks here, I'm going to turn undo history on. I want to save all the undos for what I did. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I'm liking it. So let's start adding some features on here. I don't know if I want to stick to the hull. I think I was working on this guy. That's what I was doing. Okay, so let me just go back to it. And with dynamic subdiv on here, I'm just going to go ahead and see 14 of these. 8 is good. With dynamic subdiv, what I'm going to do is add a bit of a Q grid, maybe a 1 or 2. And let's play with the coverage to get something we like. That's good. I'm just going to apply this. And now that shape is done. And that shape's kind of connecting to this thing underneath it. That's fine. So let me see what this is all about. Solo. This looks like it's its own thing. Does it have subdivision levels? It does. I'm going to delete the lower subdivision levels on this one and zero mesh it at the same amount. See if I can get better topology for it. That's not bad. That's good. Okay, I think I'm just going to leave that as that. But I do want to create some sort of a transition between it and this thing that's popping up here. So let's see what we can do. I'm going to turn transparency and ghost on. And just use Damien Standard just to kind of let's add a subdivision level into this and see if I can continue what was there. And again, this is really not going to be seen that much, so I don't need to spend too much time on it. I just kind of need to create some sort of a illusion that this is kind of somewhat continuing up into here. Like that. And maybe add like some sort of a border around it. Just to create a better transition between the two shapes. I think I'm going to hide the balloons. I don't need to see them right now. There we go. We add one more subdivision level to this. Yeah, the stream thing is kind of ever evolving. I think I see different streamers doing different things. This is kind of a new thing to stream too. Like mostly streamers stream games. So streaming art is kind of a newer thing. All right, cat is here saying hi. There's the tail. Neighbor's dog is barking. So much adventure. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Paul Atreides. All right, I've got Paul Atreides on here. Yeah, I think that's a good idea too. Like maybe have it, but then turn it on and off every once in a while, or turn it on every once in a while so that it shows up. Like if somebody asks a question, I can turn it on, and then everybody can see the question, and then turn it off after. That's a good idea too. I'm actually pretty shocked at how effective the streaming software is, like how amazing OBS is. OBS is pretty neat. And I guess there's other ones too out there. I think we used one, or Pixelogic, or sorry, the ZBrush folks used one to do multi-stream, which was pretty cool. Like have multiple people on. We did that during the holidays. That was kind of fun. All right. What I want to do here is I want to create more of a, here we go, something like this here. And maybe use this to streamline. This angle. All right. Thank you, Mechanism. Yeah, it's coming together. It really is. I think we're getting there. I think next time I'm going to spend time on the arms and legs and finish those off. For the most part, the general shape of them is done. I just need to put secondary forms on them, and that shouldn't take that long. And then, all right, so this top part I think looks good as is. I think I'm just going to leave it this way. And then let's see, what about these other parts? Let's see if I can get something happening with this guy here. So he's got a mask. Let's get this to be a little bit more planar. And these are, again, really low. Is this yeah, it's dynamic. So these are all very low poly. You know, look at this thing. It's like just a 4x4 cube. The problem with this one is that it's not really, some of this stuff is not planar. So let me just go fix that. How are we doing on time? Okay, so we're almost at the end of the regular time, but I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over by maybe 15, 20, maybe even half an hour. So I'm really enjoying working on this thing. And I was hoping to get more of this, more work done off screen on this, but I've been really busy. I'm starting a new position soon too, so I'm probably not going to have too much time outside of the streams to be working on these projects, but that's what the projects are for. So if I do 2 streams or 4 streams a month, I think that would be a good amount of time for me to be working on some personal projects. I think it's really important for artists. I tell that to my students too. I think it's really important for artists to have their own personal projects as well as their work, because I mean, I can understand, like, you know, if you're working all day, every day, and the software, you probably want to break from it. But if you do your own personal work, I think it keeps you in a better standing. It's kind of, I'm going to insert an edge loop here. It gives you a more kind of, it reminds you of the reason why you're doing this in the first place. You know, it's funny, I was watching A-Cube or Ashley's stream the other day, and she had some interesting points about how some of this is labor, and I totally agree. And if it becomes too much of, if it becomes too much of a labor, then you kind of will lose the reason why you're doing it in the first place. So you got to have some fun, and doing personal projects is definitely fun. Like I don't know what I mean, if I was doing this exact same thing right here for a job, I might not be enjoying, like what are the odds that I'd be doing this kind of thing as a project? Pretty rare, unless there was a movie or a game or something where this kind of thing was needed, then okay. But what if it wasn't, and what if I wanted to do this, right? So yeah, it's really tragic when I see amazing artists that I really like when they're in school or before they get hired by anybody, and they do amazing stuff, and then once they get hired, then they don't do anything anymore. What's going on with this solo? Am I on it? I'm not on it. Is there stuff hidden? Let me see here. No. Well, that's strange. I'm on this object, but the symmetry is weird. All right, let me bring everybody back. Yeah, why is the symmetry strange on this object right here? What is going on with you? All right, I'm just going to duplicate it. Delete the upper one. Yeah, it's still funky. What is going on with you, piece? I think there must be another one. No. Yeah. There's something else on this object. Let's see here. Yeah, but what I was saying earlier is it's kind of tragic when I really admire artists' work, and then they start working somewhere, and then you never see any of their personal work. And so, I mean, the good news is you see their work in what they're working on sometimes. But if what they are working on is not it's to be partially hidden. Okay, so there's nothing hidden. Why is this thing not symmetrical? Interesting conundrum. All right, let me see something here. All right. Yeah. Huh. This one's fine. This one's fine. But this shape over here, for some reason, is going to be a stinky poo and not be symmetrical. Center pivot, do this. Okay, so it looks like there's something else to this piece. you know, it's I could troubleshoot this thing, or it's simple enough just to, you know, delete it and add, or before I delete it, just make a new piece. So I'm just going to add a new piece, insert Polymesh 3D, and let's add a cube, one of these guys. And just replace that piece with this one. All right, let's see. The menu on the left, this is all, no, this is all plugins. So I have a lot of plugins. I usually, I mean, I've got all the ZBrush ones, and then I've, over the years, I've just purchased some, downloaded some that are free. So yeah, there's a lot. Most of these are actually Pixelogic ones, but then there's a few, like Extract Pro is one I purchased. Ivy Pro is another one that's kind of cool. That's new. There's some of these that are not you know, part of ZBrush that I've purchased. So that's what they are. Good eye, good on you for noticing that. All right, let's turn transparency on. It's funny, there's some plugins I can't live without. They're so good. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to delete this one now. The problem child one. And just use this one in its place. So turn polyframe off. Turn transparency off, and there it is. So any other questions? Yeah, you know, it's interesting that you say that. Mechanism. If you haven't sculpted for so long, I think that's a calling that you should do some sculpting. But I can see how it gets that way. Like, you know, if it's not your day-to-day, that's partially why I like to stream, is just because it gives me the opportunity to do it. If you know, if I'm doing a job where I'm not really using ZBrush in it, you know, first of all, that's really sad that I'm not. But also, what do I have going on here? Oh, slide points, yeah. Oh, that's weird. Turn symmetry on here. Oh, there was an extra edge loop in here. That's fine. Maybe that's a happy accident. Nope. All right. I don't need that edge loop. What is going on? Oh, I'm on inset. That's what happened. All right. Insert. Okay, we're good now. But the thing that's kind of interesting that you said is having unfinished pieces. So recently I just went through my hard drive and found a big list of ZBrush projects, and I have quite a few unfinished ones too. So I have ones that I work on, you know, I've got work in progress ones that I, you know, just every once in a while, if I get tired with what I'm working on, I'll just bring up another one and work on it. So I've got quite a few. I've got quite a few really interesting ones. I think I've shown some of them on the streams, like that Catwoman one. I didn't finish it. I just kind of left it where it's at. I'll probably pick it up again at some point. Maybe that's the one I'll pick up on my personal streams. I don't know. But yeah, I think having a lot of unfinished projects is kind of a neat thing, and then you can just go back to them. I went as far as actually prioritizing them. So I'm like, okay, you know, there are all these unfinished ones, but these are ones I want to finish, and then I just basically assigned a priority number to them. So I just recently did that, so that's why I'm kind of rambling on about it, is because I just recently did the thing where I said, okay, you know, which one of these do I really want to finish? Which one of these do I really want to work on? And they're all personal projects. They're all things that are, not work related. So yeah, I'm kind of really anxious about the types of stuff I'm going to be making for this new job that I have. And I'll let you guys know, or I'll let the world know what it is soon. I'm going to start on it next week, as a matter of fact. Tuesday is my first day. I'm going to continue to teach as well. I don't know if anybody asked that. Hey Vivek, how's it going, man? Thank you. All right, so here I'll add dynamic subdivision to this, and I also will give it a Q grid of maybe about, let's say 2. One is too little. Let's go for 2. And let's apply that as well. Okay, so that shape is done. And I kind of want to create a better transition between this shape. Well, maybe before I do that, I should do it. Between this shape and the one underneath it. So let's kind of see if that works. I think that's better. Actually, eventually it'd be cool to meld these together, but I think that's a better transition. And then what about this? Maybe bring it out. Here we go. That is working out pretty well. I think this could use one more edge loop over here now. Like so. And I'm actually going to leave this, I'm not going to actually apply the dynamic subdivision just yet. I'm just going to leave it as is because I might want to make some changes to it. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so that's done. This one is done. This back one here looks, I think that's one we did before. Yeah, yep. And then let's see what we can do about this one right here. All right. Why do I apply my Q grid? Well, good point. You know, the reason why I applied is because I probably want to do some sculpting on it. So, for example, like let's say on this one right here, at some point I might want to add some secondary and tertiary detail on it. And if I just leave it in this form, it will not work, right? I actually need the resolution. So I will apply the Q grid, and then possibly after that I might zero mesh it as well. Mix and matte. I hope that answers that question. Yeah, but I mean, if I'm just going to leave it like this, like if I'm not going to put any detail on it, I'll keep it as Q grid. Doesn't matter, because that kind of goes into Keyshot, which is what I'm going to use to render this in. Actually, that's not entirely true. I might render this in Redshift. I might just render this. It would be my first kind of Redshift render because I can go Z this Mech into Cinema 4D. And then in Cinema 4D, I can use Redshift as the renderer. So I might just do that. It might be a good experiment for that specific purpose. Okay, so that's good. And then is this part of the legs? Or is it? Yeah, it is part of the legs. Okay, good. So we'll do that when we're doing the legs. I think if I hide all the arms and legs here, I just want to make sure all the pieces that I have, I've kind of gotten to a good state today, and then we'll end the stream. Okay, there's this one right here. Oops. Let me see what I can do with this piece. Oh, here we go, cat. Ooh, with the panel loops, look at this stuff over here. Now, I'm not really going to see this area, but if I were to, I'll probably fix it now. You can see what's happening here. I could just basically go in here and fix this area. I need to have my brush size be smaller to do that. But again, this isn't really, like this part isn't going to show, so I don't really need to worry that much about it. But maybe this will help. If I move this whole thing down, maybe I'll add another kind of feature over here. Actually, I know how to fix this even better. Okay, so the problem is in this specific ribbon over here. So I'm just going to bring that up and mask, bring everybody else up, and then invert the mask. And so now I'm just fixing that area. So all the other areas are left alone. Here we go. That's how we would fix that. And now it's good. Right? But then there's this part right here. So I'll just go specifically to that part now. And I don't need to mask it. I can just fix this over here. All right, so I want these outside edges to stay put and not move. And to do that, there is a way to do it. And I put it on my UI, but I think it's not showing up because it's over here, maybe on the right. But I think there's a way to do that in the brush menu. And where was it? I think it was under masking. Where are you? Auto masking. And yeah, there's a way where you can relax the stuff that's inside, but not the stuff that's outside. I mean, here, if I had a smaller, if I was able to go with a small brush size, which I can, if I hold, if I'll click on here, dynamic, that'll fix it. But let me try hitting this with a slight relax deformation. Maybe that'll do it. Then I don't have to deal with the rest of it. Where's relax? Right, I'm just going to type in a relax level of 1. Yep, that fixed it. Let's see if it deteriorated. No, yeah, that fixed it right there. That's good. So just a relax level of 1 did it. Okay, so that's done. Let's go back to what we were doing earlier, which is this piece right here. That looks good. Does that have a Q grid? It does. The Q grid, let me go to 2 here on it. It's edging going. This transition here I'm not very happy with. Again, it's not, you know, this area is not going to be seen because the balloons are there. But, you know, let me fix it just to give you guys an idea of how I would fix it. Okay, so I think for this kind of hull part, I think all the primary forms are done. Some of the secondary forms are done too, so I think we're good with that. How are we doing on time? We're about 11 minutes over. I could probably start getting into the legs here. Deformation mask border, deformation mask border. Where are we looking here? Under masking. Hey Eric, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. Mask adjust, mask depth. No, I don't think it's. I think it's somewhere in brush. And again, let me see if I can. This is it right here. Minimum connected points. This is it. And where is it? It's under brush, smooth, brush modifiers. Yep, it's here. So under brush and smooth brush modifiers, right? So here you can say how many connected points you can smooth. So here's where it was. And then you can basically choose 3 or 2. And then that way it will leave the outside edge alone and just work on the inside edge instead of bringing that in. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, it's down here. And also, interestingly enough, in my UI here that I've added a third line just because I need it. And I'm, again, constantly working on my UI, changing it all the time. I think for 2022, I've got at least over 10 so far, over 10 different configurations that I've changed in the UI. And I probably will have a few more until the next version of ZBrush comes out. I usually have about 20 or so per version, depending on how long it takes between the two versions. Like, I think last year they came out with a lot of different versions of ZBrush. They really updated it quite a bit. So I don't know if they're going to continue on that level of upgrade schedule. But yeah, last year there were quite a few of them. It's kind of interesting here. There's this gap, but I don't really care about it as well. No, I should care about it. Let's fix that with moving this up. Here we go. All right. Okay, so this is kind of what the hull looks like, and then all the legs and feet will attach to it. I'm not going to do any panel looping on any of these inside parts. I mean, I might do some scribe lines, but I'm not going to do panel loops on them, just because I don't really, I don't really need that kind of level of detail. So next time you'll see me do some scribe lines on this. So next time I'll spend some time on here, just doing some secondary and tertiary forms. But I probably will spend the next stream mostly on the arms and legs and finish those off. I think we're getting good progress with the modeling of this. So once I'm done with the modeling, then I'll just maybe do some preliminary texturing on it. And yeah, and then finish it off there. Okay, so how long are we? I think we went about 15 minutes over, which is fine. I think we're at a good place to stop. I think I'm just going to do it that way. I will wait a few minutes here and see if you guys have any questions. And while I'm doing that, I might do some, I might do some playing around with this to figure out what's going on with the legs here. I think I've got this shape that I don't really, yeah, that's the inside shape. I think there's some stuff missing in the legs here. Let me see what's going on. Oh, I guess I deleted it. So yeah, I need an inside shape that's going to go in here. So next week or next time I will start with the legs and continue that way. Yeah, I need something that kind of ties this in together. So basically I just have an inside piece like this, which is some sort of a, some sort of a cable that moves, has some sort of articulation to it. So this that will not have hinges. Instead of hinges, it will have some sort of a malleable kind of bendable material inside, and that's what's going to make the arms and the legs move. Instead of it being kind of, mechanical, it's going to be more like there's an inside part that's soft and but it can kind of like muscles retract and expand, and that's how the legs and the arms work. So instead of it being fully mechanical, I think I'm going to go for like some sort of a thing that comes in there. All right, I'll let it autosave. The breakup looks good. Okay, thank you. Mechanism again. And yeah, so if you guys have any questions, I'll wait. I think I'm just going to wait for another 2 minutes. So it's 9:16 now. I'll wait till 9:18. And if you guys have no more questions, we'll call it a night. I really appreciate you all joining me live. I know that it's a lot more fun to be on when things are live. So yeah, I appreciate you joining me live. And if you're watching this after the fact, that's great too. Again, if you have questions, leave them in the comments, or join me next time. I think my next stream is going to be June 10th. Yeah, it's going to be June 10th is my next one. So join me then. And I don't think I will have my Twitch one going before then, just because I'm starting this new job and I've got a lot of other things to get done. So, all right. Minx and Matt, I will see you on June 10th then. Everybody, thank you very much for watching. I think I've got 1 more minute left for questions, and if I don't get any, then I will bid you all a good night, and we'll see you soon. So I'll just wait 1 more minute here. Man, I really like how this area here turned out. Yeah, I even like this front panel a lot. So we did a lot of kind of, manual work to get it to be this, but it came out pretty nice. Oh yeah, no, that's pretty neat. And then here I'll have maybe some lights or whatever, and we'll try to get this to look a lot more like the AI image. And then I just have to think of a composition. So if I do render this in Redshift, then Redshift has really good atmospheric effects. So I'll probably throw some VDBs in there for clouds and things like that, and try and get it as much like the AI image as I can. All right, so I think we are done. And again, thank you very much for joining me. I bid you all a good evening, good day, whatever time of day it is where you are. And happy ZBrushing, and peace, everybody. We'll